and share my screen. All right. Everything look good? You can see? Cool.
Looks
Okay.
fine.
Perfect. Welcome everybody to our March 19th, 2021 York County Coalition for Clean Water's bi-monthly meeting. I'm Rachel Stallman. Everyone I hope knows me by now, your CAP coordinator, and we're going to talk about some updates today, opportunities, and just generally keep everyone in the loop. So I wanted to start off with just some general CAP updates. We have allocated how we think we're going to spend our 2021 budget, which is just about $730,000, and it's going to be going to stream restorations, buffers, and a couple more small projects in there. I think bioswale is one of them. So we're really excited about that. We also have a little bit left that we need to spend for the 2020 budget by October. And I do believe we have some of the projects that we potentially are going to use lined up. Just need to get some approval on that. But we're fully thinking that we're going to be fine with getting that all spent and implemented before October. So that's great news. I have been presenting the CAP to a lot of different areas, I guess I'll say. So the state whip meeting happened at the end of January, just after our last coalition meeting, and I thought that went really well. Each coordinator had about 20 minutes to present on their year one progress and highlight the things that they felt most successful about. So it was all great, and I definitely highlighted our water quality monitoring program that we're really excited about. Just this week, Wednesday, was the PA Ag Agency meeting. It was a 2-day meeting. I wasn't able to make the first day because I had some other commitments, but I did hear that the first day was good. The second day was included bay updates as well as coordinator updates again. So they were brief, but I was able to hit the high points of our 2020 accomplishments. So that went well this week. I also presented to the Isaac Walton League recently. It was the statewide meeting. The president had reached out to me to see, I guess he had heard about the Chesapeake Bay initiatives. He lives out in Allegheny County, but wanted to know, how Isaac Walton League can better support these types of efforts. So talked about the CAP, let them know that, this is a whole, not just a York County thing, obviously, so that other people on the call could, reach out to their counties if they felt so inclined. And he did extend the offer to get some literature in their newsletters, and the gentleman who is the president of the York chapter was actually on the call and offered the same for the York newsletters. The York Isaac Walton League is pretty large. I think it's about 1,200 to 1,500 members. So the gentleman who is the president of the York chapter, he knows all about this initiative and is really supportive of it. So that was also great news. We did meet again with the Farm Bureau, and we presented with Joe Duras from USGS on our water quality monitoring program. I thought that went well, and we are going to continue going maybe bi-monthly to the Farm Bureau meetings. They do meet monthly, just to keep them in the loop, and we're continuing to look for ways that they can further partner with us. So we're kind of hoping that the pilot ag BMP data collection program might be one of the first ways that we can get some assistance from people that are on the Farm Bureau in York. And finally, it hasn't happened yet, but I've been preparing for it, and it's gonna be happening soon, is a presentation to the U.S. Green Building Council, primarily the people involved in Central PA, but it's a quite lengthy presentation, about an hour long. So I'm going to talk about, the history of things that have happened in regards to the Chesapeake Bay health, and then more of a deep dive into what York County has done and is doing in the past, and in the present, and in the future. So lots of presentations going on. I did hear at the PA Ag Agency meeting on Wednesday, there was a really great section about funding opportunities, and representatives from a couple of different areas or agencies talked about how people can acquire their funding and the type of programs that they have. And it was exciting to hear from the Center for Water Quality Excellence, which I hope everyone had heard by now is opening, we think, in June. They're going to have an online web-based platform, kind of seems like it's hoping to be a one-stop shop for all things funding, that you can kind of get assistance to navigate the really, cumbersome applications and rules, and figuring out if you qualify. And they're saying it's going to be very user-friendly, and even better yet, they are really focused and committed to helping York and Lancaster counties. So I'm really excited for that, and really can't wait to see how that partnership grows once they get more established. I have been having a couple meetings with some representatives from this company called Century Engineering. A gentleman that works there invented and patented this idea or technology, if you will, called Smart SWM, which is stormwater. And through our conversations, they are interested in piloting this program in York County to some degree. So we are playing with that idea and really hopeful that we can implement this somewhere in York and see what it can do. It's basically in Maryland right now, but what it is a device that is powered, has solar panel on it and powered by the sun, and uses weather technology or weather data to tell when it's going to work, essentially. But when it rains, it's a gauge that holds in the water in a basin longer for it to infiltrate before letting it release. So could be exciting, and we're continuing that exploration. It was just last week that we had the conversation where they offered the idea of wanting to pilot and partner with us in York County. And last but not least, before we move into the action team updates for today, we are continuing the exploration of the WAY merger. And I think I lied, because I think the next slide is yes. I wanted to make a little Lumi update. Sorry, action teams are next, but update around Lumi. So we have been on hold with until WAY decisions have been made. So essentially been on hold with Lumi since January, and really hoping that in the next couple of days or a week or 2 weeks max, that we'll be able to let Lumi continue with their work and continue with the obligations of the contract. We have a lot of work to do in just 6 months. So things that we're looking forward to with the Lumi contract, just to keep everyone informed and excited, because I know I'm really excited about it, but logo and brand development, content creation, so like templates for like Microsoft Suite, essentially, letterheads, information, flyer templates, postcard posters for the campaigns, for all 4 campaigns. social media banners and photos, the means to have initiative blogs where we talk about just certain things that we're working on. So all of that kind of content, and there's even more that they're thinking of utilizing with us. The web design support would be content for the website, and support meaning helping us update that content in the first couple of months that we're kicking everything off. Social media content creation and ad management. So if you've never, undertaken social media accounts, there's actually people that that's their full-time job, is just managing social media. So Lumi is going to give us 5 months, I think, worth of social media posting content. So that's like 3 posts a week for 5 months. It's an absurd amount of work. We're going to have video production. There's going to be 5 30-second mini videos that will make up a mini series. That will all be original, video production done by Lumi Creative. We will be getting some assistance with e-newsletter content development and support around that as well. And last but not least, which might be one of the most exciting, 3 half-day photo shoots that will produce 30 original images. So typically, you have to use like Getty Images or something like that. We're going to have like just York images that will be only ours, 30 originals. So that's a big deal. All right, I want to just pause and see if anyone has any questions or comments, or even if there's anything in the chat. I can't see it when I'm sharing my screen before we move on.
Rachel, there is something in the chat. Diane had posted, are there limitations that we need to be aware of when speaking to municipalities about small projects? So I don't know, maybe that's something we want to think about.
Yeah, perhaps something that we want to think about. I can make it, can you make a note of that for me?
I sure can.
Thanks. Anybody else?
What are those photo shoots going to be of? Or are we just taking I don't know.
Yeah, we wanted to hopefully
we have some rain garden plantings.
Right, yeah, projects that we've done, BMPs that we've done. That was what we originally kind of very high level discussed during our interview with them, but that's the last thing on the list. So we haven't had any discussion further around it.
Oh, and I was going to make another suggestion, and I'll have to find the contact information. But there used to be I think it was Chesapeake Consortium of Landscape Architects, and these are people that are landscapers for office buildings. Maybe they're private homes, but they were doing the native plant rain garden sort of designs, and they used to have I have spoken at one of their conferences. Probably like everybody else, their conferences are virtual or non-existent this year, but that was something that, if I can find the information on that group, that may be worth addressing.
Yeah, that sounds like a good lead. Definitely, if you find their info, I would welcome that in my inbox from you, Diane.
Hey, Rachel, this is Felicia. I was wondering, I hopped on a couple of minutes late, and I didn't know where you wanted to give the readout on the conservation district that Mark Flaharty provided. Is this the appropriate time, or is that under an action team somewhere?
I have a couple of ag initiative slides coming where I've got Mark updates on. Yep.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Yep. All right. Anyone else before, John, I think I saw your name on the line. Are you available for legislative and programmatic changes update?
Yeah, sure, Rachel. Basically, the bullets you have there. Since last time we met, we did decide that we're closing in on handing our draft watershed permit back to DEP. One of the members did incorporate their comments into the draft, and basically are going to hand it back to DEP for them to take action on or do with it what they want. If they're interested in pursuing something like that, then we can have further discussions. Also talked about potential restructuring of the committee after the merger. And also we're discussing things down the road that we'd like to talk with DEP about, ideas such as, I know that I think it's the data management team is looking at, trying to get data on all kinds of the smaller BMPs that aren't being reported from municipalities, which is a great thing. But also, we're in parallel with that, we're looking at potentially down the road coming up with a general credit municipalities may be able to get if in fact they have stormwater ordinance that requires management on small projects like that. Could we come up with a generalized credit, which would be a lot more incentive for municipalities to have such an ordinance, be a lot easier to get the credit for, and a lot less work as far as managing those smaller projects and the data, collecting that data, which is daunting. Anyhow, so that's an idea. And our next meeting is March 26th at 1 o'clock.
Thanks,
I
John.
missed anything, Rachel?
Thank you. Does anyone have questions? Or anything in the chat? Okay, Latisse, are you there?
I am here.
Passing it to you.
All right. And feel free to jump in anytime, by the way. So the letters to the schools, we're still having discussions about that. I believe we're kind of getting our list together of various sources for these schools through the Envirothon and other areas. And trying to pull together a letter to kind of see what that looks like, just as an overall view of what we're looking for and to see if they're even interested. And if they are, then just take that discussion further. And then as far as the municipalities, we kind of decided to maybe put out a survey to see how their newsletters are structured or what content that they would be interested in using from us. So we're not just sending out random things that may not have anything to do with that particular municipality as a general, but if we can kind of tweak it to what they're working on, what they're looking at, what stage in the stormwater process they're in, to try to make it more catered to them. And we still did discuss outreach to Pinchot State Park. I believe that's been going well.
Yeah, we're meeting
Rachel,
next week, actually.
Oh, this week?
The 25th. Next week, we're going to meet with them.
Okay. So during our next clean water meeting, we should have a lot more information on that. Stay tuned. And our next meeting is April 14th at 10 o'clock. Any questions?
Awesome. Thanks,
Oh, wait.
Latisse. Oh, wait.
I just want your autograph, Latisse. She was on the Today Show today.
What?
Yeah, she's famous. I just had to chime in.
Wait, Latisse, you're on the Today Show today?
I was. I got to ask Martha Stewart a question about spring cleaning.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm
anybody.
starstruck. We're among
Oh my
celebrities.
gosh.
Latisse.
I know.
National
Martha.
TV.
I took
Yeah.
a picture. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
like, I
Yeah.
know
send it
her.
out. Send it out. I want to see.
I'm driving. I'll have to send a picture. I took a picture of the TV. There's Latisse and Martha Stewart.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
It was pretty
Holy
cool. It was cool.
Oh,
I
my.
got to talk to Craig, Hoda, and Al too for a little bit.
Latisse, I'm like fangirling for you. Oh my gosh.
Thank you guys.
Yes, that's amazing. It's a great day for you. Awesome.
And
All
York
right.
County.
Yeah, and York County. Latisse representing New
One of
York.
our own.
Yeah. Oh man. So project implementation update is next. Jody is driving. Do you want me to give the update, Jody, or are you safe? I'll keep going because she's not chiming in. So project implementation, we just met last week or the week before late, and Ryan Davis was there from the Alliance of the Chesapeake Bay, and let me just tell you, he is doing so much work and has a lot on his plate. So definitely this first bullet point of partners are continuing to secure funding and are implementing BMPs in the county is still true. So aside from the work that Ryan's doing, master watershed stewards are got some buffers planned, particularly UPMC potentially. I think that one is a definite going to be moving forward.
I was going to chime in, Rachel. We got
Go
the
ahead.
Lake Pahago. The Lake Pahago. How do you say
Yes.
that?
I
That
don't know
buffer
how to
is
say
now
it either.
discussed. It's for
Pahajico.
Pahajico. There's no CH in there. How can that be Pahajico? But I believe you. That
Don't
sounds right.
ask me, ask the guys in Spring Grove.
Yes.
Yeah, we
that-
got the Lake Pahajico buffer, so that's really exciting.
Yes. Oh, and also back to Latisse, another exciting is the Lincoln Park stream restoration that got funding approval in York City. That poor little stream, she needs to be restored. I'm so happy for that one. I drive past it all the time on my way to Dairy Queen. And when it's raining, I have to take a detour because it's always flooded. So lots of great news for projects coming in York. The CAP project tracker, which is what we're calling it, is like, I guess, your project tracking spreadsheet, if you will, of implemented, planned, and potential projects. So as it stands right now, we have some information in there from Jody. Ryan had sent me some Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay projects that he has on the books. We have a list of the conservation district projects that I'm hoping this afternoon to work on that spreadsheet some more to get those in there, but it's really coming together nicely. We had some thoughts about the data that we want to be putting in it. So the work that Roy Livergood has done in the BMP data collection stuff and taking into consideration the field doc requirements, we kind of used that information for this tracker spreadsheet. So there's potentially some areas that won't get filled in just for privacy concerns or isn't given to us, but there's lots of potential for a robust data collection into this spreadsheet. And the way that it's kind of being organized so far is just tabs for different projects. So, we have a lot of the buffer, the lawn conversion, and stream restoration projects happening right now. So those are the tabs that I've started with and kind of how it's being organized. Once it's a little bit more beefy, I'll be able to feel more comfortable with maybe putting it on the screen to share some of the info on it. or letting people know what we have in the works. But this is something that the project implementation team has been really wanting to utilize for quite some time. And it's just a really big undertaking to get all of that information and get it in there. And then, you know, the next step is to keep it up to date and keep the information flowing. So we're on a really good path with that. And project implementation, we are sticking to bi-monthly meetings for now, just because everyone on that team is so busy with their regular jobs and the projects that they're working on there. So May 7th at 10 a.m. is our next meeting. Does anyone have questions before we move to data management?
Hey, Rachel, can I just chime in real quick?
Yeah, please.
Sorry,
please.
You were cutting in and out and I wasn't able to talk, but.
No worries.
So we are gonna start a buffer, like a riparian buffer work group in York County. So if anybody on the call wants to help with that, just to take Ryan just can't do everything in York and the surrounding counties. So we've got lots of project leads and could use people who, you know, if they want to sit on that committee, you folks who are doing the outreach to the schools and stuff, I think we all need to be on the same page with that, because I also don't want to take on too much that we can't do successfully like this fall or next year. So I think whoever is sending out, we need to have someone from education on that team, I think. So let me know.
Yeah. And so far it's been, Cindy is the letter gatekeeper at the moment on education and outreach, which might be working out for the best in this conversation, just because she's also sometimes on project implementation as well. But I agree with that, Jody, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention, we are creating that buffer subcommittee within project implementation. So definitely anyone interested, reach out. Even if you're interested in like just getting your maybe name on a list of a volunteer that you like might want to be doing hard work like that, in case we need people to help with it, you know, plantings and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, it could be someone who's not even on this, you know, if you just know someone who's interested and would maybe like to do it, they could join. So
Totally.
more the merrier. All right.
Definitely.
I think that's all I had to add. So, and then the lawn conversion stuff too, we might kind of work that in with the buffer stuff, since Ryan's kind of taken the lead on that, but we've got lots of leads in the county for that. So
yeah. Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Jody.
That's it. Yep.
Does anyone have
going to cut live steaks? Yay.
Yay, thanks.
All right. See ya.
See ya. All right. Is anything in the chat or any other questions before I pass it to Roy?
Nothing's in the chat.
Rachel
Yeah.
or Jody, I would be willing to help with some of the tracking, because I have been thinking that maybe project implementation or education and outreach was getting ahead of project implementation, and we really need to keep those two in sync.
Yeah, I agree.
But I can't guarantee I can do plantings.
Yeah. Well, tracking it is hard as well. So I welcome that. Are you interested in maybe I can reach out to you when we get that buffer group too together with some tracking there?
Fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. All right, Roy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just a few things to go over regarding data management. For BMP data collection, we continue to work on a way to collect data and make municipalities aware of what data we're looking for. We did have a draft BMT guide, but had a few questions that we sent to DEP and the Alliance to get clarification on. I did get that information back. Thank you, Jordan. What I'm doing now is adjusting the guide based on the comments, the information we received. We also are working on a BMP tracking form. Now, this is just for field docs. This isn't for other projects. What that tracking form would do is it would link to our initial data collection sheet and be able to assign project numbers and dates and things like that. And then Rachel could use that to track what information has been entered in the field docs. And that information would be able to be queried as well for other uses. And again, just a reminder that all this is being done in anticipation of the rebranding and getting the message out there through like a town hall or something like that, and releasing this to the municipalities to try to get this data collected. In regards to water quality monitoring, there was a few different things that we discussed. The first is that, sorry, Jeff, BMP is, BMP, it's best management practices.
Oh,
That was in the chat there.
sorry about that typo. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I get so used to using different acronyms now, being in this group. There's so many of them that I forget that some people might not know what they are. For water quality monitoring, some of the nitrate sensors were updated, and what that is leading to now is an issue of variability in the data that's being received. So there needs to be a way to rectify the differences in that data, or adjust or account for that difference. So that is one of the discussions we need to have with USGS. In regards to nitrates, the high nitrate reading response, we continue to organize as far as monitoring, going out and testing and monitoring if there is high nitrate readings. We also have a few folks who have volunteered to monitor the data every so many weeks to make sure if there are high nitrates, to kind of raise the alarm that something needs to be done. And we're also, speaking of alarm, we're also working with Alarm through TED to see if they can assist us in some manner in collecting samples and if there are high nitrate readings. So that it's kind of an organizational trying to get everything cleared up as how we respond and continue to monitor that data. Another thing one of our things that we're working on is there's 2 report cards. There's a report card in the spring that is internal for this group's use as far as water quality monitoring, and then to be a larger annual report in the fall. We were hoping that USGS would provide us with data based on annual information in January. That information was delayed and we still haven't received it. So we're looking at researching ways that we can report that data in an informative way. So that is currently being explored by the group. We're looking at report cards that were done by Montgomery County, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I think it was Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and seeing how we can take reports that they've done and come up with something that we can use as well to report this information. And finally, our next meeting is April 9th at 1 p.m. I don't know if there's any questions regarding that. Doesn't sound like
Okay.
anything, Rachel. I'll
All
turn
right,
it back
cool.
to you.
Thanks so much, Roy. Alrighty, so moving on to our ag initiatives. Felicia, did you want to give Mark's update, or you want me to keep on rolling here?
I would just read his email. So if you have a flow that you're with, just go for it.
Okay, I just made some bullet points from his email because I can't toggle back and forth while sharing my screen in Zoom. But this is the update provided from our friend Mark Flaherty at our conservation district in York County. We have started what we're calling Pilot Ag BMP Data Collection Program. So something that the conservation district is heading up, and we're partnering with them to assist as York County Coalition for Clean Waters. And the idea for this, the first level of the pilot, was to ask municipalities to partner with us to, since they know their areas the best, to help us with outreach to farmers in that area that have plans already, ag ENS manure management plans already done, and see if they would be willing to share that information with us to enter it into the program Practice Keeper, which is where all of the ag BMPs get entered, so that progress can be tracked essentially. So Mark presented this idea and concept at a York County Stormwater Consortium meeting, and 4 municipalities agreed to help us out in this first round. And it's York Township, Windsor Township, East Manchester, and Dover. All of them have a pretty beefy ag area. And we've had a couple initial meetings with them. And some next steps right now are the conservation district is looking at some mapping and integrating some GIS data layers with the layers that they have in Practice Keeper, to find out who they already know have plans, who they already know don't have plans, and figuring out the process for moving forward with that information. So after they get some information, the conservation district is going to be the entity that will be assisting in the reviewing and determining of the plan status, and assisting those without plans to develop plans and implement BMPs. I hear hold music, sorry. Hold on a second, uno momento.
Could that be somebody's cell phone?
Yeah,
Who's not muted?
I just want to see who's not muted here, and just mute. Maybe, sorry.
I think it's Felicia.
There we go. Okay, sorry. All right, can everyone see my screen again? Okay. So the conservation district is gonna assist in the reviewing and determining the plan status. They're gonna be the ones that are, conversing with the farmer to sign off on the information in the plan that can be entered into Practice Keeper. And the goal with all of this is to get sediment credits potentially for these 4 MS4 municipalities. And then also obviously to get nitrogen credits for the CAP implementation. So like I said, initial meetings have started, and we're going through the motions of the different processes that we're going to take, determining the first wave of what the workload is going to look like for those of us involved. And Mark's aiming at thinking this is going to be a 1 to 1.5 years to complete, with the first initial 4 pilot, to get all of the information that we hope we find a lot of success in. And then after that, we'll kind of, the success of this will determine the expansion of the program. So if we expand to the other MS4 municipalities involved in the consortium, or even if we expand to like an all county level type of program for something like this. So a lot of work involved, and I think it's moving along at a great pace right now. Does anyone have questions that I could maybe answer? Okay, I'm moving on to the next one, which is the Conservation Excellence Grant, lovingly referred to as the acronym CEG. I just want to remind everybody that there's still plenty of funding. So the Conservation Excellence Grant is for ag BMPs. York has about $1 million. I know some of it is probably allocated by now, but there's still a lot left. So the BMPs that are priority in our York CEG program are listed out here. I don't have to bore everyone with reading all of them, but the interesting ones, I think, ag riparian buffers, as well as cover crops. So I believe the ag riparian buffers can even be, ones that can yield a crop. So farmers can be making some money eventually off of their buffer as well. There's no deadline to apply. I did put in the chat the contact information is Stephen Miller, or you can call Mark too. I put Steve's email address in the chat, as well as the link to the Conservation District webpage, where there's a lot more information about all the ins and outs of the Conservation Excellence Grant. But basically, my ask is, if you know a farmer or anyone connected to a farmer, just ask them, hey, do you know that there's like all this money in York? And, maybe they should call the Conservation District, something along those lines. I do have access to a flyer if anybody would like me to email that to you. Just put that in the chat, and I'd be happy to make note and send it to you after this meeting. And our last ag initiative that we want to talk about today, I am sorry, I don't know what the official name is of it, but this is what I'm calling it, the Pilot Codorus Watershed Outreach Program. And this is basically partnership with the York County Planning Commission, York County Community Foundation, their ag area, and the Codorus Endowment Committee. So we applied for funding for a 2-year program in a targeted part of the Codorus watershed. The funding's going to include for a part-time ag outreach specialist, could be a person, could be a outreach, like type of more of like an agency, if you will. And we're going to soon be trying to, chop up and decide what the job description of that will be. And the funding also includes, this is the exciting part, 10 farmers will be awarded $1,000 vouchers to work with any agribusiness advisor and to receive guidance on implementing ag BMPs on their farm. So I believe this is going to be kicking off really soon, and we're pretty excited about it. Any questions before we move on? Or anyone want to chime in with more details?
I had a question.
Yes.
This is Tina.
Hi.
For the ag, the presentation before this one, you talked about farms, but only in MS4 municipalities. What about, I'm in Washington Township. Our whole township is pretty much farmland, but we do not participate because of our population in MS4.
Yeah,
we have a long way to go.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks. We, meaning the Conservation District, they have to keep in mind, and it's an unknown currently, like what the influx of potential work could be that a pilot program like this could produce for them, which is why they wanted to kind of start on a smaller scale with some MS4 municipalities that are involved in the York County Stormwater Consortium. Definitely, though, the expansion of this project, we hope will eventually one day include, this type of work for the entire county. But since it's just starting off, we have to be a little bit mindful, and we don't want to get a list of, 200, 300 people, and then, it's 5 years before they see somebody again or something crazy like that. So definitely taking it into consideration, and hope, who knows, maybe we'll be able to get some more technical staff involved down the road with this type of work as well. Anyone else have questions around the ag initiatives we're working on? All righty. So I liked starting this boots on the ground opportunities for anyone who would like to get their hands dirty and volunteer right now. I did put the Horn Farm link in the chat at the beginning of the meeting. That's a direct link to Horn Farm's riparian buffer planting days. They're starting on Sunday, April 11th, and then they're going to be Wednesdays until May. You can see the dates and time there. This is for the 6-acre riparian buffer that Horn Farm is implementing. And a lot of the volunteer work, the opportunities right away are going to be, there's going to be a lot of moving and hauling of leaves, mulch, digging using a broad fork. And then, of course, planting trees once they're available, and all of the stuff that comes around the planting of trees. So digging holes, moving supplies and water, coordinating the plantings, and more. I know some people on the call have already signed up for this and are excited about it. So I would like to encourage anyone else who likes to do this kind of work to join in, because it sounds like it's already going to be a fun group of people outside doing fun things. Also, the Greener Cadorus initiative is going to be starting with our friend Ted, the Lower Susquehanna Riverkeeper. So you might recall from last season, the Greener Cadorus initiative is essentially you're chopping vegetation to keep it under 1 foot on the banks of the Cadorus Creek in New York City, so that the Army Corps of Engineers do not spray the stream banks with pesticides or herbicides to kill the vegetation. So it's hard work, and the first day, which I heard is April 24th, I did put Ted's email in the chat if you're interested in reaching out to him. The first day, that Saturday, is going to be to pick up trash and remove the debris that has collected over the winter, and then we'll get a more firm schedule for the dates that we'll be out there chopping the stream banks. Okay, grants and other opportunities. Want to remind everyone again of the Conservation Excellence Grant Program. Also, I did put in the chat the watershed friendly property certification that is in partnership with Penn State Master Watershed Stewards and the Nurture Nature Center. The first 250 signs are free, and they are really cute. I know some people, or I think some people on the call already applied and are getting their signs, or maybe already got it. I know I told a friend about this to put in his yard and brag about the stuff he does. I looked at the application. I can't do it because I live in an apartment, but it's really simple application, straightforward, and then you get this really cute sign that you can brag about the great stuff you do on your property. So the link is in the chat for that. And I also don't want anyone to forget about the weekly opportunities to meet with DEP and talk about permits before they're submitted so that you can submit a permit that will smoothly make it through the process. So they're Tuesdays from 10 to 12, and they're for Bay projects, so chapter 102 and 105. If you know of somebody starting a project like this, needing a permit, going through that process, send them my way. I put my email in the chat. As well, if you have any questions or any follow-up or anything, just email me. Penvest announced their 2021 Lunch and Learn sessions. I think that some of us attended these last year. I did put the link for the registration for the Eventbrite in the chat. There's some before these ones here that I have listed, but these are the ones I thought that might be of, more interest piquing to this group. So April 13th, they're going to be talking about small project initiatives. April 15th, programmatic financing, and April 22nd, I think this one sounds interesting, grant funding available specifically for lead line removal from drinking water systems. So I know that that's kind of like, at least I feel as though that's a hot topic. So I'm just kind of like personally interested in that one. So again, link is in the chat to register for anyone who's interested, and they're free, by the way. Our recap newsletter, the February issue is out and about, and April's just around the corner. So, I always plug this little recap. I'm so proud of it. Keep sharing it. Maybe share it with somebody who you haven't shared it with before, who might be interested in water quality or the environment or stewardship or being outside or anything like that.
I was listening to the project implementation update, and there were some things on there that I didn't know about and I thought were really interesting. So I might be reaching out to hear about that Lake Pahachiko and maybe put something in there about that. And the stream in New York City, and there was something else in there. So if you get an email from me and you're able to do a short write-up, and it can be super short, like I can put them all on one page, so it doesn't even need to be around the 450 words. It can be even shorter, but I think those are great things to highlight. So I might be asking.
Awesome. Okay, we're ending the meeting here, everyone. So these stay the same. I want to just encourage everyone to keep talking to people about this. My friends probably hate hearing about water at this point, but I don't even care. Local businesses has been something really on my mind. At the state ag agency, PA ag agency meeting this week, when Allison Gibson was updating for Lancaster, I just thought this was so cool, but they somehow partnered with a brewery in Lancaster and did 2 beers that people can buy, and one is like Crick and one is Creek, and it's like the Crick versus Creek, great debate. So things like that, I would love to find partnerships that we can just get this topic out further. Partnerships with people that, are in a position in a business to offer monetary assistance or implement a project on their business's property. Stuff like that, ideas like that. Just keep talking it. I really appreciate it. The funding opportunities, we know that there's so many of them, but the private funding is something that is desired as well to be beefed up a little bit more. So that ties into what I just mentioned before with the local businesses. The willing landowners, let's keep trying to find them because we have the money to help them. And be on the lookout for our new look. Hopefully our next meeting is going to look different with all of our Lumi work really starting to kick off. And finally, the CAP project tracker spreadsheet that I'm working on in collaboration with the project implementation team. Please reach out to me if you have ideas of agencies or you have projects yourself. I've already received some emails from people who have implemented projects on their own land. I really appreciate that outreach. And let's make that list as beefy as we can. Our next meeting's Friday, May 21st from 1 to 3. Thanks, everybody. Is there any final questions before we end the meeting for today?
Rachel,
Yeah.
there were some things in the chat.
Yeah.
Alyssa had said, one, it's a crick. What? I'm not. And then two, I love the idea of a downtown restaurant coming up with like naming a drink. So I think that would be kind of cool. And Jeffrey, I send the recap newsletters out to everyone who is on our, if you got an email for this, you got the email for the recap newsletter, but I can send it out to you personally again. And the social media is on Facebook. Our social media account on Facebook is it
York County Coalition?
Yeah, Clean Water.
Yep.
And on Instagram, it's YCC4CW.
Yeah, I think you can find it on Facebook, YCC4CW, because I think you can make settings where that's also like searchable, and I believe I did that. But yeah, York County Coalition for Clean Waters, that's us.
Yep. And Diane had said, is MWS the Master Watershed Stewards? Their Speakers Bureau is trying to get tap talks going with breweries and wineries. So that's kind of interesting. I like tap talks.
Tap talks, yes.
That's a cool idea.
Cool, yeah, that is cool. Maybe that could be our lead into getting a drink or a.
Yeah, because oh crap! What is the vineyard that? So restaurant. Yeah, Windridge. I wonder if Windridge. I mean, they hold a whole bunch of like artisan shows for local makers. So maybe they would be willing to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, great idea. Love Windridge. They have ciders, but I would still be for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else in the chat, Linz?
Nope. I think that's it.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everyone so much for coming and hanging out on this sunny Friday afternoon. And I hope you have a really wonderful weekend and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.